Hi friends, so today we are moving to the fourth module, and in this class, in this lecture, we will be dealing with the function language. Okay, so we'll deal with what a function language is, and the schema, which is a example for a function language. We'll be dealing with the basics of schema. Okay, so what is a functional language? Starts with the function language. It defines output as a function of input. So in this, we can see that all the statements that we will be writing will be in the form of functions. Okay, it will be most of the functions will be included in brackets. Okay, so what all the statements you write will be inside the brackets. Okay, and schema is an example for a function language. Other purely function languages are Miranda, Hashboard, PH, CSL, and simplest MNC, etc. They are purely function language, but schema is not purely function language, but it is also function language. Okay. Some of the features of function language: first class function, higher order, extensive polymorphism, this type and operators, structured function returns, constructor for structured objects, and garbage collection. Okay, we will be dealing with all this later. Now we will move to the basics of schema. Okay, basics of schema now. Okay, in a schema language, okay, so in a schema language, if you write 7, okay, something, so 7 is a value. If I write 7 and press enter, you will get an output as 7. Okay, in schema language, you are writing 7. Okay, and if you are writing an enter, you will get an output as 7. Clear. And if you are using a bracket, most of the uh, things or most of the statements will be starting or will be inside a bracket. Okay. If it is a direct value, it doesn't need a bracket. If it is a direct value, it doesn't need a bracket. And if you are using a bracket, the first one, it should be a function. Okay. First item, it should be a function. That means if I'm writing 7, it's okay. If I'm writing 7 in bracket, then it will give out an error. Okay, because in bracket, if I am writing first bracket, it should be a function. Okay, here in schema, plus, minus, all of the operators are taken as a function. Okay, so I can write plus 3, 4. In bracket, we can see that the first thing that appears inside the bracket is a function. So this will return 7. Clear? Okay, and in schema, as you have understood, we'll be using prefix notation. Okay, prefix notation. First, it will be the function. Okay, likewise, if I'm writing minus for 3, output will be 1. I hope it is clear. Okay, instead of writing like this, you can just write all the code inside a program, inside a file, and you can load the file. For loading the file, you can use the load function. Okay, for loading the file, you can just write load function. And this is similar to if in Python you know, right? If you in Python if you write a equal to 3 then enter, and if you write a plus b, if you write like this, a equal to b, a equal to 3, b equal to 4, and if you write a plus b and if you write enter, you will get 7 as output. Right? Likewise, if I'm writing 7 and if I'm typing enter, you will get 7 as output. And if you are writing in bracket plus 3, 4, you can get 7 as an output. Plus, clear. If you write in bracket minus 4, 3, you will get 1 as an output. Similarly, in Python, you will be storing in .py file, right? Likewise, you can just store the program in a notebook and you can just load it using load function. Okay, so in bracket, if you write load in quotes, you can write the program name, then that program will be loaded. I hope it is clear. Okay, so this is how you will be loading a program. So you can write all the statements inside a file and you can just load the file so that the file all the statements in the file will get executed. Okay, so you can just write directly in the terminal, or you can use the file. Right. I hope it is good. Here you can see that plus 3, 4, as I have already told, plus 3, 4. If I am writing plus 3, 4, you know that it will return 7. Okay, and if I am writing like this, plus 3, 4, this will be similar. This will be similar to plus 3, 4 is 7, right? So here it is similar to in bracket 7. For this, you know that the first thing should be an operator, should be a function, but here it is a value, so this will return a number. Okay. So when you are writing, number of brackets also do matter. Number of brackets in this also do matter, because if it is not in the proper way, you will show an error, or it will not work accordingly. Clear. So number of brackets in a schema. Sorry, number of brackets in schema is also very important. Okay. Uh, Likewise, if you need to write an if statement, you need to write an if statement. This is how you have to write the if statement. Okay. So first we have to open the bracket, and the function that we will be using is if. Okay, function we will be using is if. And in first bracket, you will be writing the condition, and make sure that you are writing in the prefix of that. The second, what you have to do if the condition is true, and the third, what you have to do if the condition is false, then you have to close the. Okay, so this first one will be the condition. Second one will be what you have to do if it is the condition is true, and what you have to do if the condition is false, and that's the third one. And after that, you have to close the bracket. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay. Now, this is all about statements. There are some inbuilt functions to check whether it is a boolean, to check whether it is character, to check whether it is string, symbol, number, pair, list, etc. Okay, so these are the basic things that you have to understand while using schema. So you will be requiring a basic idea about schema, how to what are the basic structure. You may not be asked to write a program in schema, but you might be asked to explain some program which is already there in the textbook as well as in the slide. Okay, so you have to go through all the examples in the textbook and understand how it works. Okay, I don't think that programs from outside you have to create your own program, like such programs will come for exam. I don't think so, but basically you have to write. You have to learn how the program execution of each and every program that's given in the textbook. Okay, so this is a condition for if. I'm going a little bit faster just because you know what an if is, etc. 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 Okay, so I just have to compare it and just tell what the difference between all other language and schema is. Okay. Okay. Next is how to define a function in schema. How to define a function in schema. To define a function in schema, either you can use a lambda function. Either you can use a lambda function, or you have to use a define function. You can use define, or something else is there. It is called a let. Let is also there. Okay. To define a declare a function or define a function in schema, we will be using a lambda or define, or you will be using some let. Okay. In basic methodology, you will be using lambda. Okay. In basic methodology, we will be using lambda. So how to use this lambda function? How to declare using lambda function? In lambda function, what we will be writing is, if I need to, for this example, if I need to find the square of a variable, if I need to get the square of a variable, so I'll be writing like this. Okay. So I'll be writing in bracket, I'll be writing lambda. So I'm gonna declare a function. After that, I'll be writing the argument. So here you can see that x is an argument. So now I'll be defining the arguments to this function. Okay, so I'll write lambda, then I'll write argument to the function, then I'll write the body of the function. If I need to return the square, then I'll be writing star xx. Okay, so this is the body, and I will close the bracket. I hope it is clear. Okay, so you can see that in lambda function we are defining something called a lambda, some function using lambda. You are not giving any function name. Okay, here nowhere you are giving a function name. So here the function name is missing. Actually, the function name is missing. Okay, so if I need to use this function, I have to use it then itself. So when I'm defining itself, I have to use this function because I cannot call it from any other way because it doesn't have a name. So I haven't given a name to this lambda. Using lambda, if you are defining a function, you cannot give a name to this. So you cannot call from somewhere. If you are calling it, you have to call it then and there itself. Okay, so for that, to call this function, I'll be using another bracket and I will be writing 3. Okay, in this bracket, so the first one is the function. The function includes the function definition. Okay, so this is the first thing, that is the function itself, and the second one is the argument. Clear? So to define a function using lambda, I will be giving in bracket I will be giving the argument. In the second bracket I will be giving the function body. All will reside inside a bracket. Okay. If I need to use this function, again I will be writing a bracket and I will be giving the argument to the function. So we will be writing 3, and this will give out the value as 9. Okay. So this will give out the value 9. So this is how we will be using the lambda function. So you know that if I am using lambda, I have to use that function then and there, and I can only use it for once. Okay, I have to use it then and there, and I can only use it for once. So for changing this status so that I can use more than once and I can use somewhere else, what I have to do is I have to give a name for this function. Okay, so for giving name, I can either use define or I can use let. Or let or define can be used to name a function. Let or define can be used to give name to a function. Okay, so if I'm gonna define this, okay, so if I'm gonna define this as a function, so I'll be writing lambda. Okay, I'm writing lambda x star x x. So this is a function, and I'm gonna name it. Okay, so I'm gonna name it. For naming it, I can just write define sqr. That will be okay, and I will be putting that in bracket. If I'm defining like this, what happens? I can just use it somewhere. Okay, so this will be the first step in which I define a function, and in the second step, I can just use this function. Here, in the second step, I can just use this function. To use this function, I will be writing like sqr of 5. If I am writing sqr of 5, then what happens? Square root, the square function will be called with an argument 5. Square function will be called using an argument 5, and this will give out the output as 25. This will give out the output as 25. Clear? I hope it is clear. Okay. So to give the name for a lambda function, we will be using define. Define. I will give the function name, that is sqr. Then as we have defined that function, we'll be writing that lambda of x, xx. Okay, you have to make sure that you are giving correct number of brackets. Okay, so here this is the bracket to close the function body. This is the bracket or this is parenthesis to uh, close the lambda function, and this is the one that is used to close the define. Okay, likewise here I am using sqrt. If I need to give an expression as an argument, then I'll be writing like sqr plus 23, which also gives a output as 25. Since we are using a function, we'll be using a bracket. Sqr in bracket plus 23 will also give you 25. I hope it is clear. Okay, so this is all about function. Here you can see that a similar function is defined here, hypod. Okay, which is the square root of addition of star A and star B. Okay, just go through this and understand where is the bracket that you are using the bracket. Okay, when you are writing something in scheme, make sure that you are putting correct brackets, correct number of opening brackets and correct number of closing brackets. That's to matter. And also, when you are writing each step, the first thing that you should come, it should be a function. Should be a function. Okay, here define is taken as a function. Lambda as a function. Likewise define plus star everything that comes to a keyword or a function. Clear? So make sure that. Now, uh, there are two schemas, three things called let star, and let rect. In most of the question paper, you can see what do you mean by lambda. Lambda is very important, and also you may be asked about let star, and let rect. This is very important topic. Let star and let rect. Okay, this is very important topic. So what is let star, and let rect? Okay, let and let star is used to give names. Okay, let and let star is used to give names. Let and let star is used to give names. I hope it is clear. Okay, so understand this thing. If I am using a let, I have to give a equal to 3. If I need to write let, and I have to give a equal to 3. Okay, so if I am writing let, I will be writing like this. Okay, just understand. Let in bracket I will be writing. Okay, in bracket I can give a lot of sorry. So let. Okay, in bracket I can give a lot of definitions or a lot of assignments. So in among that, one assignment is A and 3. Okay, and there will be a bracket for let. So this will be the statement for giving A equal to 3 using let statement. I hope it is clear. Okay, again I am writing. So if I need to give A equal to 3 and B equal to 4. Okay, so in let, okay, there will be many statements. One is A equal to 3, the other one is B equal to 4, and I am closing that. Okay, so there can be a lot of a lot of assignments in one let statement, and I am closing a bracket. There is a bracket here. Okay, and inside this bracket, so I am starting a bracket here and I am ending a bracket here. Okay, inside that bracket, if I display A, inside this bracket, if I display A, 3 will be displayed. If I give out B, 4 will be displayed inside this bracket. You have to understand inside this bracket. Hope it is clear. Okay, so I can just give values A equal to 3, B equal to 4. I hope it is clear. So brackets are like let in bracket. Again, you can give a list of a number of assignment values A3, B4, etc. Okay, and you have to close the let string. So just understand there are a lot of brackets when you are dealing with let string. Okay. Likewise, I can also define a equal to 3. Likewise, I can define a function, give a name to a function. Okay, so I'll be writing like let. I have a lot of list to define, and in bracket uh, I'll be giving a factorial. Sorry, I'll be giving sqr, which is a square. Okay, and I will be defining lambda function. So lambda x. Okay, lambda x, and I will be writing star x x in bracket, and this is the bracket for closing lambda. Okay, and this is the bracket for closing sqr, and this is the bracket for closing left. I hope it is clear. I hope it is clear. Okay, so in this bracket I can just inside this bracket I can just give inside this bracket I can just give sqr or something. I can call this function. I can call this function inside this bracket. Make sure that when you were dealing with the define, when you are dealing with the define, even if closing the bracket of define, outside define, I could write, I could call the function, or I could use the definition, right? Hypot 3 4. This is outside. You can say that in bracket if I'm writing here, this bracket define bracket starts here and define bracket close here. Outside this bracket, I am using this square 5, which is equal to 25. Okay, but when you are using let, it should be inside the bracket. Inside the bracket only, the variable will be can be used. Only inside the bracket you can use the variable. Okay, like I'll be writing like this. Listen here, please listen here. Okay, so if I'm using let, okay, so I am using let, and before starting, I'm writing a let. And in let, there will be a lot of definitions, a list of definitions. For that, I will be writing a bracket, and I'm going to define the first one, and I'm going to call it a square. And inside this, I'm writing the lambda function. Okay, this bracket from this to this. So lambda, and the function is here. Okay, so lambda bracket goes here. Now, this is the list, right? Bracket of the list. A lot of definitions will be there for let, right? So I will be closing that number of definition. Here I can use the square form because it is inside the bracket of let. It is inside the bracket of let. So here I can use square. Here I can use square. For example, I can use square 5, which will return inside the bracket. Inside this bracket, I can use square 5, which will return 25. Okay, but outside this bracket, if I am writing square 5, it will probably give an error. I hope it is clear. I hope it is clear. Okay, so that is the difference between define and let. In define, it is actually you are defining it is in the form of a globally, but in let, you will be just it will be similar to you will be uh, declaring it as locking. Okay, now we'll just uh, go to the difference between let and let star. Okay, now we'll move to the difference between let and let star. Okay, so here in let, okay, in let, I have written a equal to 3. Okay, I am assigning 3 to a. I am assigning 3 to a. In let, I am assigning 3 to a. Okay, then here you can see that Here you can see that after that I am using another let. Inside this bracket itself, I am using another let. Okay, so I'm defining a equal to 3, and inside this I am using another let, that is let a4, and I am writing ba. I'm writing a4 and ba, and I'm closing this bracket and closing the bracket of list. Okay, and here if I run this, okay, if I run this, I will get plus AB, the result will be 7. If I am writing plus AB, if I am writing plus AB here, the result will be 7. I hope it is clear. If I am writing plus AB, the result will be 7. The result is 7 because when I write like this, okay, the A will be taking the value 3, which is defined in the first let. Okay, you know that the value of A is changed in the second let. Okay, so here the value of A will be 4. A will be 4. But you know that here the bracket having get closed. This let bracket having get closed. Only after closing the value of A will be taken as 4. Only after closing the value of A will be taken as 4. So here I am using BA. I am using the value of A before closing this. Before closing the list bracket. Okay. So before closing the list bracket, I am uh, using the value. So here the A will take the value from the outside, that is 3. So here the A value of A will be 3. So B equal to 3 will be the value. The value of B will be 3. So outside here, A will be having value 4 and B will be having value 3. So if I am adding 4 plus 3, the answer will be 7. Okay. I know that many of you will be having a doubt. Okay, so listen here. I'll be explaining it again. Okay, so when I am using let. Okay, so I am using let a3. Okay, so this is how I'll be using. And here I can use a. If I am using a here, what will we get? What will get output? We will get output as 3 because you have closed the list. Okay, there are a lot of declaration in let, and you have closed it. That is after defining all the elements of the list, you will be closing the bracket, and after that you can use a, and this a will give you the output 3. Okay, അതായത് ലെറ്റ് എഴുതി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒരു ബ്രാക്കറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. ആ ബ്രാക്കറ്റിൽ എന്താണ് നമ്മൾ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യാവുന്ന കുറേ കാര്യങ്ങൾ, എ ഇക്വൽ ടു 3, ബി ഇക്വൽ ടു 4 എന്നുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യുക. അതൊക്കെ കിടക്കുന്നത് ഈ ബ്രാക്കറ്റിലാണ്. ആ ഡെഫിനേഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇപ്പം ഐ എം യൂസിങ് എ എന്നുള്ളത് ഞാൻ ഡിസ്പ്ലേ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ എക്ക് എനിക്ക് എന്ത് ഔട്ട്പുട്ട് കിട്ടും? 3 എന്നുള്ള ഔട്ട്പുട്ട് കിട്ടും. കാരണം എന്താ, ഇവിടെ ഞാൻ ആ ലിസ്റ്റ് എന്തൊക്കെ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ള ലിസ്റ്റ് എന്ത് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്? ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഈ ലിസ്റ്റ് ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ മുമ്പ് ഞാൻ എ യൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, അതായത് ഇവിടെ ബിയുടെ പകരം B4, അതായത് ഈ ലിസ്റ്റ് ഞാൻ ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല, ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ മുമ്പ് ഇവിടുത്തെ എയുടെ വാല്യൂ ഞാൻ യൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, പിന്നെ മുമ്പ് ഏതെങ്കിലും വാല്യൂ ഉണ്ടോ ആ വാല്യൂ ആയിരിക്കും യൂസ് ചെയ്യുക. ഇവിടെ അതാണ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട്, നോക്കാം. ഓക്കെ, അതായത് ഈ ലിസ്റ്റ് ഞാൻ ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്തു, കണ്ടോ? ഈ ലെറ്റിന്റെ ഏതൊക്കെ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യാണ്ട് എന്നുള്ള സാധനം ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്തു. പക്ഷെ അടുത്ത ലെറ്റിന്റെ ഏതൊക്കെ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യാണ്ട് എന്നുള്ള സാധനം ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഇവിടെയാണ്. പക്ഷെ ഈ ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ മുമ്പ് ഞാൻ എ യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം. ഓക്കെ, ഇതിൽ എന്തൊക്കെ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ മുമ്പ് ഇത് യൂസ് ചെയ്ത ഒരു വേരിയബിൾ എ യൂസ് ചെയ്യാണ്. അങ്ങനെ എ യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എന്തായിരിക്കും വരാം? അതിന് മുമ്പ് എക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഡിക്ലറേഷൻ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ ഡിക്ലറേഷൻ വരാം. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ എയുടെ വാല്യൂ എന്തായിട്ട് എടുക്കാം? 3 ആയിട്ട് എടുക്കുള്ളൂ. ഇത് ഇനി ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്തു. ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ എന്തുണ്ടായി? ബിക്ക് വന്നിരിക്കുന്ന വാല്യൂ എന്താണ്? 3 ആണ്. കാരണം ആ സമയത്ത് എയുടെ യൂസ് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത് എന്താണ്? പഴയ വാല്യൂ 3 ആണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത്. ബട്ട് എയുടെ വാല്യൂ ഇത് ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്ത കാരണം എയുടെ വാല്യൂ എന്തായി? എയുടെ വാല്യൂ മാറി. എയുടെ വാല്യൂ എന്തായി? 4 ആയി. Okay, so if I am writing plus 4, 3, the output will be 7. I hope it is clear. Okay. ഇപ്പോൾ ലെക്റ്റിന് പകരം ലെറ്റ് സ്റ്റാർ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നതെന്ന് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, if you are using let star instead of let, then there will not be such changes. There won't be such changes. Okay. So if I am using let star instead of this, if I am writing a equal to a4, it will work so. And if I am writing b a, 4 will be copied to b. 4 will be copied to b. Okay. In let star, the list need to be closed. This bracket need to be closed. Before that, it will be using the variable value. Okay. So if I am using let star, the output of the same will be 8. Here the output will be 8 if I am using let star. I hope it is clear. And let rec. Okay, let rec is a function which is used to define recursive function. Okay, let rec is used to define a recursive function. Let rec, it is used to define a recursive function. Here you can see that it is a recursive function. Okay, factorial is a recursive function, so you will be using let rec. You can just check it. Okay, you already know what a factorial function is. Okay, just check. Okay, so I am just stopping this class. I hope you understood. If you haven't understood, especially about the lect and about the lect, and this example is very important. This example is very important. Okay, this example is very important. So, okay. I hope it is clear. If you have any doubts, you just ask. Okay then. So I'll be concluding this class now. Thank you. Okay.